Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today I want to discuss an issue I've noticed with the player base throughout the years. An issue that was most recently on full display here at the beginning of the month, and you'll probably see come up from time to time when Wargaming releases, well, any new ship into the game. So if we rewind to the start of this month, we had the beginning of the From Narvik to Dunkirk event. And in the first half of that event, I still think it's up in the armory right now, we could acquire the new Tier 8 Premium British Destroyer, the Eskimo, for a mere $22 if you played your cards right in the event, which is quite the discount on a Tier 8 Premium ship. Tier 8 Premiums normally go for a little over 50-ish US dollars, so the fact that we could get the Eskimo for 22 bucks is pretty cool. And I acquired the Eskimo, played her for a bit, and had a pretty good time in her. I thought she was a pretty cool ship, especially considering the fact that we can get her for $22 dues, and I released my Eskimo review pretty much saying that, hey, you know what, it's a pretty solid ship, $22, I had a good time in it. I was constantly coming in the top 5 on my team, and that's me, a battleship player playing a destroyer, coming in the top 5 on the team consistently with the Eskimo. And when that review was released, there were many a comment made, oh, this ship is useless, this ship is worthless, because it's not a Cossack. And in that comment section, my comments are still up, you can go back and read, I am quite confused because, well, yes, the Eskimo isn't a Cossack. It's the same class of destroyer as the Cossack, that's very much true, but it plays nothing like the Cossack. Cossack is a close-range cap contesting destroyer that's very good at bullying other destroyers out of the cap. The Eskimo is a mid-range heavy hitter with her improved HE. If you don't know, the Eskimo has the same guns as the Cossack, except they are tuned quite a bit differently. The Eskimo's guns, for example, their HE can pin 30mm of armor base without IFHE and have a much higher fire chance than the Cossacks. And if you take IFHE, you can now pin 37mm of armor, and you still have a pretty solid fire chance with the Eskimo's guns. The shells are, in fact, tuned to be better at range than the Cossacks. The ballistics are better. The air drag is, I believe, slightly improved, so you have a little bit more comfortable shells at range with the Eskimo versus the Cossack. The torpedoes on the Eskimo also longer range than the Cossacks. 12-kilometer torps. Same torps as the Cossack, but you get 12 kilometers instead of what's Cossacks, 10 kilometers or 9 kilometers or whatever it is. It's an improved range over the Cossacks. Now, of course, in order to get all this, the Eskimo does trade several things with the Cossack, and by several things, I mean, most of the consumables. You get a smoke generator and a damage con. That's it. So, obviously, since the ships are very different, they play differently. So I'm very confused when players keep comparing the Eskimo to the Cossack. Doesn't make any sense. The ships don't even play the same way. A more fair comparison would be comparing the Eskimo to something like, Le Fantastique, which is kind of in the same vein as the Eskimo at Tier 8, more of a mid-range gunboat destroyer that's good at bullying not only cruisers, but destroyers as well. Although, again, the fact that the Eskimo's guns can pin 37mm of armor, you can do a lot of damage with that, consistently, I should say, because you can pin 37mm of armor. Keep in mind, too, we're talking about a Tier 8 destroyer here that can pin 37mm of armor. That's not to be overlooked. That's a huge advantage that this destroyer has over the Cossack. And again, it's not really fair to compare it to the Cossack because it doesn't even play like the Cossack, yet it gets consistently and constantly compared to the Cossack, which happens all the friggin' time in game. In usually one of two scenarios. It'll either be a scenario like this where, the ship is based on another ship in game in terms of, its class and some of its identity, or it's a situation where a ship is made in a similar role as a previous ship that's been released. But what will happen is they get constantly compared to these older ships that are borderline busted. Like the Kazakh is borderline broken, right? Like it's seriously one or two parameters off from being an absolutely cracked ship. And it's considered to be one of the best Tier 8 destroyers in game, and honestly one of the best destroyers in game, hands down. So naturally, when you compare it to a much older ship that is borderline broken, yeah, it's not going to live up to the bar that you set there. But again, the ships play completely differently. But why would you get the Eskimo when you can get a Kazakh? I don't know, because you want to play a completely different type of destroyer, a completely different playstyle or something like that. But no, it's not the Kazakh. It doesn't have the same reload time as the Kazakh. It's got this longer reload time than the Kazakh. So therefore, the Kazakh is better. I mean, the Kazakh is better at what the Kazakh does. I'm not denying that. It is, again, borderline cracked out, broken ship. But yeah, since the number on the screen is bigger than the Kazakh's number, therefore ship bad, therefore I'm not going to waste my time on it. So yeah, even though the ship is a good ship, like this is a good ship, right? Like it's a Tier 8 destroyer with the ability to pin 32 millimeters of armor regularly, with a good fire chance, with great torpedoes, so forth and so on. Like it is a good ship. But because players are getting, just fixated on the fact that it's not the Kazakh, that it's got a longer reload time or something like that, it's a bad ship and therefore not worth your time. Even though it's a Tier 8 premium, you can get for $22. Well under half of what a Tier 8 premium goes for. But no, it's not the Kazakh, so we're not going to waste our time with it. And that highlights a problem with the player base. That if it's not some, overtly broken or powerful ship, we don't want it. That's what a lot of players say. And if you want another example of this, look no further than the Spanish cruiser line. The Spanish cruiser line are a line of most excellent mid to closer range AP-focused cruisers that, in my opinion, are a very good line to go up. But guess what? They're not like terribly broken or overly powerful. Yeah, they have the burst fire mode with a reasonable reload time afterwards. Actually, if you look at other ships that have this burst fire mode, they tend to have a very long reload time afterwards, but not the Spanish cruisers. Yet, when was the last time you saw a Castilla in game? Not very often. Doesn't have some big standout capability like some of the other cruisers in game. Very much like how the Eskimo doesn't have all the utility that the Kazakh has that makes it such a great, close-in knife fighter with other destroyers. But because the Eskimo is different and more of a mid-range fighter and doesn't have all those shiny utensils at the bottom like the Kazakh does, oh, it's bad. And I guess that's the same mindset with the Castilla line, because, I mean, the line is a very good line, in my opinion. It's well balanced. You've got the burst fire mode giving it its identity, its thing, which is a good thing, right? Like, it's great to be able to just snap your fingers and, delete a cruiser, but I guess not. I guess it's not shiny and attractive enough for the player base. But this happens all the time. So, of course, that sends the message to Wargaming that, well, they're not buying the more, how should I put it, subtle or balanced ships. They're not going after those ships, so we have to, keep going with more gimmicks, more flash, more pizzazz, I guess, whatever you want to call it. More gimmicks is probably the best way to describe it. Or more powerful ships, more ludicrous ships to get players' attentions to pursue these ships, be it with spending time in game grinding them out or dropping money on them when they come out in their early access event, pretty much, right? Like how. What was the last premium to get released? That, well, the Eskimo's still out and the Bliskovica 44 are both still out, so we'll see if they stick around afterwards. I doubt it. It's been a hot minute since Wargaming's just released a premium into the game. But yeah, so it leads to that cycle, or that, I guess, that mindset from Wargaming where you got to do more with ships, make them more ridiculous, more crazy, more gimmicky, more this, more that. And I don't know if it's just that players don't read up on ships, because something kind of similar happened with the Elbing line when they were released. Everyone got so fixated on their HE DPM and how terrible it was that a large portion of the community was just like, well, these destroyers are useless when they come out. And then, when the LB line fully releases and you can 2-tap a Minotaur, then players, I guess, kind of got it at that point. And maybe that'll happen with the Eskimo. Once more players get it, they'll see, oh, it's really not a Cossack. It really is, something different and played completely differently. It doesn't even really need to be compared to the Cossack, besides the fact that the ships are of the same class and visually look the same. I don't know if it's that or what, but the player base just has this mindset. I'm not saying it's everybody, but a large chunk of the player base has this mindset of, oh, if it's not this ridiculously overpowered, powerful ship, then it's not worth getting, despite it being, something different or something that's, just solid. Everyone wants to play these, big, flashy, powerful ships that, you can walk over the entire enemy team with, but of course that's not good for the game. But naturally, the fact that, everyone will rush out and buy these powerful ships or these broken ships when they do get released, that's not great for the game's health. It's just interesting taking a step back and looking at what the player base says, because the player base will say, we're tired of these busted ships coming out, of the latest busted premium ship coming out, this, that, and the other. We want well-balanced ships. And when a well-balanced ship comes out that's good and you can get for, under half the price of a new Tier 8 premium ship, but it's just good, it's not cracked, it's not pushing the envelope, they'll say, oh, you know what, no, we're actually going to go play this other cracked, busted ship, or almost cracked, almost busted ship, instead of this newer, more well-balanced ship. It's just real funny seeing that happen, because they'll crucify wargaming for slipping up and releasing a cracked ship, but when a solid ship come out, they'll also say, oh, well, what's the point? It's not almost broken like this other ship, so we're going to go play that instead. So, yeah, and, when you feed into that system, that's how you get experimental ships that, they're only temporary for now, but who knows when they'll come back and stay permanently. Same thing happened with super ships, right? Super ships were a temporary thing, but, yeah, look at where we're at now. So, yeah, well, that's my 2 cents on that subject, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below this interesting mindset of a large portion of the playbase. I'm not saying everyone has the same mindset. I'm just saying that there's at least a very vocal chunk of the player base that seems to have this mindset about them. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a wonderful Saturday, wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.